Okay, chances of getting Chelsea back into the top six based on the playing staff. Obviously, they've got an overly bloated squad which they're gonna need to trim down, as obviously he's gonna be looking to bring in his own players to take Chelsea forward, as they can't have another unacceptable season finishing outside the top 10. I'm obviously not a Chelsea fan, but I'm gonna be going through the squad as objectively and as fair and neutral as possible as I possibly can be. So, without any further ado, I'm going to start in the goalkeeping department with Kepa Arrizabalaga. I feel like he's resumed his position as Chelsea's number one goalkeeper. He's had a decent season. He's obviously ousted Edouard Mendy as their number one now. So I think on that basis, I think he obviously automatically stays. So I'm gonna jump to Edouard Mendy. I'm gonna say sell Mendy just due to the fact that he has performed really poorly over the last 2 years or so, and Kepa's form. I just feel like one of them stays and one of them's got to go. Also, Kepa's age is on his side as well. I think Mendy's 31, 32 years old, whereas Kepa's in his late 20s, and he's probably a slightly better goalkeeper at this stage. So Kepa stays, Mendy to be sold. Bettinelli is the third choice goalkeeper. So if Mendy goes, then he automatically stays, as I don't think Chelsea want to be buying another goalkeeper at this stage. Gabriel Slonina. It's hard, it's a mouthful there. Gabriel Slonina. He's a young goalkeeper. He's probably going to remain with the under 23s development squad at this stage. If not, he'll probably be loaned out. So I would say stay. Benoit Badiashile. He's been really good this season. He started off as a first choice player when he came in January for Graham Potter. Didn't really feature much under Frank Lampard for whatever reason, but he's done enough for me to show that he's a good player at this level. So I'm gonna say he stays. Thiago Silva, I think he won Chelsea's Player of the Season. He's been exceptional since he joined them a few years back. I know he's almost 40, but he's a player that they definitely want to keep hold of, maybe for another year at the most. So I'll say stay. Sorry. Trevor Chalobah, he's done really well. He's been featuring quite frequently this season. I'm sure this season he's played the most that he's ever played in his Chelsea career. He's a half decent player. I think he can stay. Came through the youth system. He's done really well. Ben Chilwell, left back, left wing back. I think Pochettino is gonna wanna keep him going forward. England international. I think he's had his injury issues, but when he's fully fit and raring to go, he is a very good player. And yeah, I think he should definitely stay. Reece James, the easiest one, definitely stays. He's a key player for Chelsea, quite versatile, world class performer. He can play as a right centre back, right wing back, probably can play as a winger as well. Excellent player, just had a few injury problems. Kalidou Koulibaly, he hasn't really had the best Chelsea career. He hasn't really played really well. He looks out of his depth. He looks past his best at this stage. I think he's a player that Chelsea should look to move on at this stage. Cesar Azpilicueta, he's a veteran fullback. He's done really well. He's probably a club legend. Won the Champions League, the captain. But I just feel like Chelsea want to move in a different direction now. Probably a bit past his best as well. I think his contract's even up in the summer, so Aspilicueta would be to sell. Mark Cucurella would be to sell for me. I don't think he has pulled up any trees since joining from Brighton for 50 million last season. He's been really poor, to be fair. Looks out of his depth at this stage. Although he may be kept on by Pochettino, but just the fact that he's quite a versatile, can play as a left centre back, left back, and a left wing back. But for me, I would look to move him on at this stage. Wesley Fofana, he's a player that Frank Lampard has been building his team around at centre half. So it's usually been Fofana, Thiago Silva, and Trevor Chalobah. So yeah, he's been really good. He's had a solid first season, made a few mistakes, but I think going forward, I think he's gonna be one for the future for Chelsea. So he's definitely gonna be at the heart of their defense going into next season. Alfie Gilchrist. Not don't know too much about him. I think he's a youth player. He's probably someone that they'll look to keep hold of and probably loan out to maybe a championship side going forward. So going into the midfield, Enzo Fernandez, one of the first names of the team sheet on the team sheet for Chelsea, came in for big money. He's the club record signing. There's no doubt about it. The fact that Chelsea are going to want to keep him. So is Pochettino. N'Golo Kante, I believe his contract is up in the summer, so he probably will be moved on. And I think him and Chelsea probably need to go in different directions at this stage as well. Mateo Kovacic, I think if the rumours are to be true that Ugarte is going to come in from Sporting Lisbon, then I think Kovacic is probably a player that's going to have to look to move on as well. Especially if we know Enzo's going to be in midfield alongside Ugarte. I think Kovacic probably should be sold for me. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I want to talk about him and Conor Gallagher together because their situations are similar. They both came through the youth system. They both played quite a lot of games this season, to be fair. Loftus-Cheek's been playing here, there, everywhere. He's been getting injured, been going on loan. I just think it's time. I think he's in his mid to late 20s, about 26, 27 now. And he just needs to go to a club where he's playing week in, week out in his favoured position. And instead of being in, out, injured, it's just a bit all over the place. I think he is a good player. And I think at the right club, he can get back into the England setup. Someone like a Crystal Palace, where he was on loan a few years ago, would be a team where I think he could expect to start most weeks and to get back into form. With Gallagher, I think he's an honest, hard-working player. He's got a capability of scoring a goal here and there. He'll run his socks off for you. He's really enthusiastic. He reminds me a bit of Jordan Henderson. I just think Chelsea need quality and they need Premier League experience if they really want to get back into that top six, which I'm sure their target will be next season. Therefore, I think they should look to cash in on Gallagher, as teams like Everton, Aston Villa, those kind of mid-table sides would probably, I reckon even West Ham would probably be looking at him, and they could probably get good money for him, maybe to 20 to 30 million. So I would sell Conor Gallagher as well. Bloody hell, I'm selling all their midfield, man. Mason Mount looks like he has his heart set on a move away from Chelsea. All the top clubs are in for him. They're all interested and they're all linked, including Arsenal, Man United and Liverpool. So I think they should cash in on him on the basis that he isn't going to sign a new contract. So Mason Mount is a sell. Dennis Zakaria came in on loan from Juventus last season. Didn't really feature much, and I don't think the club will be looking to make his loan permanent. So that's a sell, if you like. Carney Chukwuemeka is a young player that excelled at the Under-20 World Cup a few years back. Was brought in from Aston Villa last season. Hasn't featured as much as he would have liked, but has played a bit towards the end of the season. I do feel he would probably want to get some Premier League experience next season, and there'll be clubs like Luton and Burnley, maybe even Sheffield United that will look at him. Will be interested in him coming in. So I feel like with the right club, he can get some regular first team football and get some experience under his belt. So I'd say loan out Chukwuemeka. Lewis Hall, he's featured quite a bit this season. I believe he is a left wing back. He's impressed me actually as well. When he played against Man City, he looked really good. He started a lot under Graham Potter and started the last few games under Frank Lampard. So the fact that he started a lot of games under two different managers tells you all you need to know. So I feel like he's a player that the club might want to look to loan out just to get some regular Premier League football next season. Someone like who could he go to? One of the clubs coming up from the Championship would probably look at him. I was gonna say Brighton, but I think Brighton are at a level where they want to get established players now. But someone like, I was gonna say Southampton, but no, someone like I don't know about Crystal Palace, but I would say a Luton would probably be interested in him. Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, them kind of sides will be definitely interested in Lewis Hall. So I'd loan him out. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, boy, where do I start? I mean, I don't know what was going through Chelsea's mind. I think they were desperate when they went in for him because he's 32, 33, a former Arsenal captain, talisman, with an Arsenal badge on him, and you got Arsenal tatted on his body, and you go and sign him thinking that that's the way forward. I think after about a month, everybody realised that it was a busted flush and it was a wrong signing. So I think this is the easiest sell of the lot. I think Aubameyang's definitely got to go. Coming in second place is probably Christian Pulisic. He definitely needs to go. I mean, he's been at Chelsea for about 4 years, at least 4 years now. And it's never really happened for him. He's had his peaks and troughs. He's been in, out, injured, in form, out of form. It's just been a bit erratic, like a lot of these Chelsea players. So I think, all encompassing, I think it's time for him to leave and just find pastures new and move on with his career. Especially with players like Christian Nkunku coming in and Mykhailo Mudryk, who I'm going to talk about now, coming in as well. Mudryk hasn't really set the world alight since his big money move from Shakhtar Donetsk. He probably needs time. However, he's not a player that I really rate per se. He just looks like someone that has a lot of speed. He looks like a speed demon, but doesn't really offer much else for me. However, I just think because of his price tag, it's inevitable that he's gonna be given time to try and show form and try and gather up ahead of steam and get some goals and assists next season. So on that basis, he's probably staying. João Felix, I've just literally seen that the club won't be taking up the opportunity to sign him, and it's no surprise. He hasn't really pulled up many trees. Obviously, he's going to look good on the ball. He's an excellent footballer, but at the end of the day, he's been brought in as a striker, as a forward, and he hasn't really got the numbers that his ability suggests he should get. So I think he's probably going to go back to Atletico Madrid. Raheem Sterling is an interesting one because when he came in, I felt he looked a bit lightweight. It looked like he lost a lot of weight. I don't know if he's changed his diet, but now of recent, it looks like he's come back. It looks like he's been at the gym. He's looked impressive. He looks lively against Man City. But it's interesting that Gareth Southgate said that he wasn't chosen in the England squad due to fitness issues, which is weird because he's been playing and starting in all Chelsea's recent games. So what I personally think is they've had a conversation on the phone and they probably both agreed to use that as an excuse as to why he was omitted from the England squad, which if he doesn't improve his form, he's probably going to struggle to get back in ahead of next season's European Championships. But I think Raheem Sterling's experience and his goal scoring ability should definitely mean that he should stay at the club, and I expect him to have a decent season next year and get back to form. Armando Broja, he's a young player that's come through the youth system. He's got a lot of pace about him, enthusiasm. He's a threat. He had a good spell at Southampton a few seasons back. Unfortunately, he got injured. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have featured a lot more this season. So, on that basis, I'm going to say he stays, and not even to be loaned out. I just feel like he could be potentially a backup stroke third choice centre forward for Chelsea. I'm not sure if Lukaku will come back, but I expect them to sign a striker, so he'll be back up to whoever they sign. Next up is Hakim Ziyech. He's looked really surly and moody, and he doesn't look happy at Chelsea. He never has really, never really worked out for him. He's a player that on his day he's capable of scoring worldies into the top corner. He showed his quality at the World Cup. I just don't think it's really worked out for him at Chelsea, and Pochettino is he's gonna need reliable players that are willing to fight and to work hard. So I think Ziyech probably needs to be moved on. David Fofana, he's a young striker. I probably expect him to be loaned out to France. You know, maybe like a Nice or a Marseille. Yeah, because obviously I don't think Chelsea can accommodate too many forward players, especially with the likes of Sterling, Mudryk, and all the players that I expect them to sign, like Nkunku, etc. We don't know what's happening with Lukaku at this stage. Kai Havertz is probably living off of his Champions League winning goal against Man City a couple of seasons ago. He's a bit hit and miss. He's not really a striker. He's not really a midfielder. He's not really a winger. He's a combination of the three, which has been the problem with him. I think he's half decent player. I'd say bench. I'll bench Havertz. I wouldn't sell him, but I wouldn't keep him per se. Although I am keeping him if I'm benching him, but I just feel like give him another season or so. And last but not least, Noni Madueke. He's really impressed me. He's one of the few players that want to play on the right wing for Chelsea, as most of their wingers and forwards, they want to play off the left. People like Mudryk and Sterling and probably Nkunku are going to want to come off the left. But Madueke is a young, electric, exciting player, left-footed. So he's played really well when I've seen him. Obviously impressed Lampard in training, so he's been starting a lot of games, scored 1 or 2 goals as well. He's an exciting prospect for the future, and I think he can get into the England squad as well in the future. So his inclusion in the squad makes it interesting to see what Chelsea do with people like Lukaku and Callum Hudson-Odoi as well when they come back from loan. So after Pochettino coming in, I'm sure he's going to want to bring in his own players. So for him to do that, he's going to need to make space in the squad, which is already bloated. So therefore, I think Chelsea are probably going to have to let go of about 8 players and bring in maybe about 4 or 5 top players just to get the balance of the squad right and to get the dynamics